Hello and welcome to That's English.
Hello.
Today's documentary is about neighbours. Neighbours. Are your neighbours nice, Annabelle? Do you get on with them? ¿Te llevas bien con ellos?
Yes, I do. I live in a small house and I get on really well with my next-door neighbours. We often talk and have a drink together.
That's great. Well, in the documentary, we meet two women, Nikki and Carola. They are next-door neighbours and sisters.
Interesting. Nikki and Carola talk about neighbours and what's necessary to be a good neighbour.
Now, watch and find the answer to this question. What do you need to be a good neighbour?
Some people in Britain live in flats, but most people live in houses. Houses are terraced, detached or semi-detached. Nikki and Carola are neighbours and live in semi-detached houses, but they are more than neighbours.
We aren't just neighbours, we're sisters. And we have lived next door to each other for many years. When we originally moved into the street, we shared a house. As our children got bigger, we moved to this house.
Originally, their houses weren't connected. They decided to build in the space between the houses and have a door that connects the two houses.
We do get on as neighbours. I think it's because we're sisters, therefore we have always been close. And also we're lucky because our families are good friends as well.
By joining the two houses and their gardens, their families have more room and have grown closer. Sometimes, noisy neighbours can be a problem, especially in terraced or semi-detached houses. But Nikki likes the noise of families with small children.
If you have neighbours who have small children, they're going to be noisier than middle-aged people, but small children make a wonderful noise, and it's life, and it's what you want in your street. As a community, we do look out for each other. We watch each other's houses if we know somebody's going to be away. I think to be a good neighbour, you have to be sensitive and communicate with your neighbours, and those people who don't are not going to be good neighbours.
So Nikki and Carola are sisters and neighbours. I'd like to live next door to my sister. What about you, Ashley?
Well, I like my brother and sister, but I prefer a bit of distance between us, you know. So, what's the answer to the question? What do you need to be a good neighbour? Watch again.
I think to be a good neighbour, you have to be sensitive and communicate with your neighbours.
So they think it's important to be sensitive, tener sensibilidad, and to communicate with your neighbours. Do you agree, Annabelle?
Oh, yes. It's important to think about your neighbours, to be considerate, ser considerado, and to talk to them.
I agree. I think people sometimes have a problem with their neighbours, but they don't talk to each other. Then that's a difficult situation.
What about you, Ashley? Do you have a close relationship with your neighbours? ¿Tienes una buena relación con tus vecinos?
No, I live in a block of flats and I don't really know my neighbours.
Or do you sometimes speak to them?
Yes, I usually see my neighbours in the morning, but we only say hello.
Well, we asked our friends from different English-speaking countries about their relationship with their neighbours.
We asked them this question. Do you have a close relationship with your neighbours?
Let's see what they say. Watch.
No. Unfortunately, sometimes in the city you don't actually get to know the people who live around you. So we're friendly, but I wouldn't say we were friends.
I do not have a close relationship with my neighbours. Not for any particular reason, I just never really see them.
In New Zealand, we're always close with our neighbours because we're a small country and we depend on each other for support. And it's very friendly.
I have a very close relationship with my neighbours. We depend on each other for a lot of things.
Well, in Pakistan, we're very close to our neighbours. We often visit each other.
We're like family. And I really grew up around them. I was, very, very young when we were all living next to each other.
Well, that's nice. A number of people say they have a close relationship with their neighbours.
Yes, that's very positive. Sometimes they depend on each other. Dependen unos de otros for a lot of things.
Well, I think that's good. In the UK, a lot of people don't have close relationships with their neighbours.
So, now let's go to today's episode of The Street.
Talking of neighbours, there's a person in the street called Sybil, and she knows lots of people on the street.
She knows lots of people, but I don't think she's a good neighbour. She's a gossip, una cotilla. She loves gossiping about her neighbours.
Así que le encanta cotillear. I hate gossips, especially if they're your neighbours.
Well, today, Sybil is doing one of her favourite things. She's standing outside her house and she's watching what's happening in the street.
While you watch, find the answer to this question. What does Sybil say about Mr. Brummel?
At last! Why didn't you come and see me before? First, in fact. I'm Sybil, and I know everyone on the street and can tell you all about them. Hello, Chandra. How are you today? Did you have a nice day at school?
Yes, that's right. Bye.
That's Chandra. She's Mr. and Mrs. Patel's daughter. She's a nice girl, but a bit shy and quiet. She reads lots of books and is a bit of a dreamer. And there's Jeff. Yes, 5 to 6. You can set your watch by Jeff. He's so regular in his habits. I'm worried about him, poor man. He's single and he lives with his mother. He hasn't got a girlfriend and he never goes out. There's Mandy. I didn't want to speak to her. She loves talking about her health and I didn't want to spend the next hour talking about her latest illness. Look at that bag she's got. I'm sure it's full of antibiotics and vitamins. I'm sorry for her and her husband. What a life. That's Mr. Brummel, my next-door neighbour. He's a nice man, but he's very vain. Spends all his money on clothes. Look at him. He's looking in the mirror. Bye. See you later.
Does Sybil really like gossiping?
Well, she definitely likes talking about her neighbours. She talks about Chandra, Jeff, Mandy and Mr. Brummel.
So did you find the answer to the question? What does Sybil say about Mr. Brummel? Let's watch again.
That's Mr. Brummel, my next-door neighbour. He's a nice man, but he's very vain. Spends all his money on clothes.
What a gossip Sybil is.
Yes. She says Mr. Brummel spends all his money on clothes.
Yes, that's right. She says he spends all his money on clothes.
And she also says he's very vain, presumido. I don't think she's a good neighbour. She's a gossip.
Today's episode of Ben and Beth is about neighbours too.
Yes, Beth gets home from work and she finds out that they've got new neighbours next door.
and she's very surprised because Ben went to meet the new neighbours.
While you watch the film, try to find out the answer to this question. At first, al principio, what does Ben think of the new neighbours?
At first, what does Ben think of the new neighbours?
Hi, Ben.
Beth! Guess what?
What?
Didn't you see the lights next door? It's our new neighbours. They moved in this afternoon, and I met them.
Great. Did they come here?
No, I went to see them.
Oh, right.
And they're fantastic. They're so cool and funny. Rick is a really fantastic musician, and Samantha has a great job in public relations.
Well, you know a lot about them.
Yes, they are very nice.
Great. Weren't they busy?
Busy?
Yes, because they only moved in this afternoon.
Oh no, they were really pleased to see me and invited me in and showed me around the house. Then we sat down together in the living room, but there weren't any chairs, so we had to sit on the floor. Then they made a coffee, but there weren't any cups. They were still in a box. Yes, as I say, they are so friendly and funny. You really have to meet them.
Yes, I must.
How about now?
No, I don't think so. Not now.
Yes, we had a really good time. I'm so happy that Rick and Sam are our new next door neighbours.
Ben went next door and had a cup of coffee with their new neighbours.
So, did you find out the answer to the question? At first, what does Ben think of the new neighbours?
Watch again.
Yes, as I say, they are so friendly and funny.
So, at first, he thinks they are friendly and funny.
Yes, but in the end, I don't think Ben is so happy about their new neighbours.
No, that music was loud.
I think perhaps they need to buy some of these or move to a new flat.
Yes, good idea, Nathan. But I hope they don't need to move.
Well, that's all for today. Goodbye.
See you in the next programme of That's English.
Yes, see you in the next programme.
Bye.
Bye.